Hey Scott, welcome to the podcast, and pretty excited to have you on board.
Thank you so much. Actually, when you told me, hey, Scott, do you want to be on a podcast? I said immediately, this is my good friend Sanjeet, right? We've had some good times together. So I definitely wanted to join you and just have a little fun chat. So I'm really excited. Thank you for inviting me.
And I really love your energy, Scott. We have been together at Dreamforce, and then in Irvine, you came all the way, and you kind of took us around the beaches, so it was fun.
Yeah,
Looking
it
forward
was
to
a lot of
catching
fun.
up with you again.
I think one of the most precious parts was I actually asked you, and you weren't fond of it at the time. I'm like, hey, do you want to do a hamburger with me at In-N-Out? And you're like, you went for it. And I was like, okay, this is a good friend, right? He shares in the passions, even if it might not be his passion. So I was like, this is pretty cool. And it was a lot of fun. I really thank you for that moment.
It was fun time. Looking forward to seeing you again in San Francisco.
Well, thank you. We're gonna have a great time, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Salesforce definitely knows how to put on a good gig, right?
yeah.
So it should be fun.
Yeah. So Scott, everybody knows, you make these crazy videos, and everybody kind of knows you. So you go to somebody and say Scott Stafford, everybody, oh yeah, I've seen him, right? So that's the thing you have created around yourself. But I would like to understand, where did you start from? I'm sure things are not as fancy as it looks on social media and as cool, right? You have your ups and downs. So how did you start your journey? Like I know you have been through a lot of different cycles of life, so just wanted to understand how you started your career, and what kind of things you were doing. I heard that you have had a beautiful marriage in Prague and things like that. So how did it go through, and what are your learnings from life?
I think for me, I was really excited about tech, just coming out of college. I actually studied international relations and French. So my first job wasn't in tech. It was actually working in like a law firm. And I kind of moved, it was called Aiken Gump. But quickly, I kind of got gravitated to the tech department. So back in the day, I was actually using Microsoft products and I was help desk. And I did that for quite some time and an opportunity came up for me to help contract out a house over in Bethesda. So I was in the Washington, D.C. area, and I was with the love of my life. At the time, it was the girl, my ex-wife that I met in college, and it was just incredible to be able to work together, right? And there was just so much excitement in the D.C. area. After that, we decided we were going to get married. So we actually went to, like you mentioned, to Prague. We actually quit and said we had enough money saved up. It was a lot of work. I mean, I worked a lot of hours, and we planned out our wedding and we got married in Prague. So it was a whole year off almost. And we did the wedding setup, and then eventually we decided that for our honeymoon, we wanted to travel around Europe. So we chose, I think it was something like 20 different countries, just the revisit. And it's actually gets quite tiring traveling, believe it or not.
Yeah.
We did that part, and then decided we were going to do it called Eurasia. So every time I do a trip, I usually come up with a name. So that trip was actually called Eurasia. And as we were in the phase to get to Asia, we said, well, we're kind of tired. Let's go back to school. And we said, okay, we'll go back to our old college together and we'll take some accounting classes. We both were kind of interested in that. And so I did that accounting classes and we both got all the credits we needed to become CTAs, right? And that was really exciting for us, right? We're going to be CPAs, but I got the job, and weirdly, again, I was in a firm, and I was doing accounting. I was director of finance, and I kept making my way to the computer. We had a company next door. There was actually an IT company, and they were actually managing all of our computers. And I would spend so much time on the server. So I just always have had that passion for technology. I don't know if it's like serendipity, even when I, dove away from it. And with my, eventually I started a construction company, really used Salesforce in my construction company. And then also my ex-wife at the time was working for a nonprofit. And we did a lot of projects within Salesforce. In the last few years, I decided, hey, I'm going to really answer the call. I mean, the pandemic came, and I'm like, you got to live your passion, right? Do what you want to do. So I started diving in deeper and deeper. And over the course of, I would say about 2 years, I got quite a few certifications, and I met Steve Simpson, and he's like, "Hey, why don't do you want to join us in the pursuit to become a CTA, Certified Technical Architect?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sounded pretty appealing." So I've been really studying a lot. I finally finished the whole pyramid. So after finishing the pyramid, AI really, I think everybody knows, is kind of intensified. So for me, I've been diving in more to the AI lately and kind of leaving the architect part on hold for a little bit.
No, that makes sense, Scott. I think AI is kind of the future. As we all know, it is no more a buzz, right? So everyone needs to catch the train.
Yeah, it's actually even more than that. It's really cool and exciting for me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not just the agent force, but when you really get deep down inside and you see how large language models work and all the mathematical equations that need to be done, it's quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued. There's a few parts about a large language model people don't realize. It actually contains no code. It's actually just mathematical equations, and it doesn't store data. It's actually the weights in between that actually get those responses each and every time. So I find that pretty cool and a little bit magical.
So Scott, in this journey, right, you had a few years of journey, and what are some experiences or some learning you would like to share with somebody who is like 20, 25, or maybe even younger, like you just starting off his career and doesn't know what to do, and maybe some insights that can help him.
Yeah, I think I would pay attention to what your passions really are. I use this a lot when I talk to mentors. I say, let's talk about what you did in high school. What were your electives? What were you drawn to? And for me, I've always been drawn to computers, but I stayed away from it. I went to accounting or to construction for a while. And if I would have actually paid attention and say, what actually made me get excited, right? When I was on the computer playing with different technology, I was really maybe, kind of really excited, very jubilant in life. So I think I would encourage people to not just look for like what makes money, but actually find out what you passionately want to do and then align that with what makes money.
Got it. Yeah, yeah, I think if you are passionate about something, that will take you a long way. Otherwise, it will just be a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah. And especially, I think there's an opportunity now that no matter what that passion is, let's say even that you love art and painting, you can mix that in, right, in the Salesforce ecosystem and actually find a really good niche market where you're well known. So I think, case in point, I kind of like a little bit of creativity, a little bit of marketing, maybe being around the camera. So I quickly somehow just found that my way of making videos, and it kind of complemented my brand. So just kind of merge your passions together, your tech side, your creative side, or whatever it is, and find your path and actually explore that. When you first start out, don't just say this is what I'm going to do, but actually take a few days and say, what am I really passionate about, and can I make the ideal future state? Can I actually make that part of my career?
Got it. No, that makes 100% sense, Scott. So talking about the brand, right? Now today Scott is a brand. You agree with me?
I didn't really know. I think people have said that. I wouldn't. I think it's just more authentically me. Um, Believe it or not, I actually never thought about you know what I was going to portray to people. It was actually as I was studying. You have a very technical side, and I go take a break, and I kind of said, "Well, I'm going to have a little fun. Let's make a little video." I still even remember the first video that I made, and I was scared like so many other people. You have to be vulnerable and you put yourself out there. And
Yeah.
once it went out there, I was like, looking, how can I go delete it? You're like in panic mode. Like, are people going to like it? Are they going to hate it? What's going to happen, right? Because you took a part of yourself and it's in that video, and you give it to everybody, and they either can accept it or not. But luckily, in our ecosystem, people generally accept things, and you generally get better. And just being vulnerable is how you make relationships. So I I think you could see that I just make them all the time now. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and I think it has also taken you years, right, to build that. It has not happened kind of overnight, correct?
No, no, it actually takes a while. I mean, you do your first video, but then you also got to think about as you're doing it, you're giving a part of yourself out there, but they're actually going on a journey with you as you're defining your core values. So I made a lot of videos on my core values with my sister for Empowering Our Mind. And through those videos and that process and the multiple hours, I really defined who I was. So I think that happens every time you make a video. It's kind of like teaching a class. It helps you define who you are. I think probably even for you in this podcast, it's similarly, right? You have
Yeah.
to kind of figure out who you want to be and what you stand for.
No, that makes total sense. So how has this kind of brand perception of Scott Stafford helped you? Is that has it been like of help anyways? And I know that you are kind of helping everybody out, connecting people around the globe. You're doing some good job, right? But has it helped you as a brand, or do you think that you got a return out of it, or it was more of a passion you did?
I didn't intentionally do it as a brand. It did definitely, the more you put yourself out there and build authentic relationships, you get a lot of opportunity. Um, I think for me in the branding part, maybe there's a few instances where I'll recommend a book or there's products I like. And it's similarly where I actually meet the person and I really feel that we have a synergy between our values and I really appreciate their product. So I'm not somebody that would actually advertise or be linked to a product that I didn't feel good about. So that's kind of like my brand. And a lot of times I kind of think I have really nothing to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really in it for the money. I just made the video, like it or not. A lot of times I'll tell people, if you don't like it, we just delete it, right? It took only a second, and it's about your story, not mine. So it really works. I think this is one of the few times it's actually been more about my story. Most of the time, it's actually me highlighting other people. So
Yeah. No, so I'll just rephrase the question, right? So for a 20-year-old watching this podcast, what do you think is the importance of a personal branding? Should he do it? Should he not do it? Will it help? Will it not help? Or he just should be in the silos and just do the work?
no, no, no. Yeah, definitely. Now that I see where you're going with that, definitely you have an opportunity, right? When I was back in college, there was no big LinkedIn. People basically watched the news and the media on TV. Right now, we have the opportunity that literally you can just advertise yourself. You could figure out what you want to show to the world, and you could just take your iPhone that you probably have and flip it and start to build tons of media about yourself. So I definitely think that's one of the most powerful ways to actually build your brand and also get opportunities. I'm just actually amazed. I'm like, it is crazy how you can just get to know. I think I look on there and I've actually been seen by like just hundreds of thousands of people. And you're like, wow, just from just a quick little camera and a little program called LinkedIn. It's pretty incredible.
No, that makes total sense. So, have you ever used AI tools in your daily life? Do you use any of the tools?
Yeah, I use AI all the time. Probably a little bit different than most people is I actually talk a lot with ChatGPT. So what I traditionally do is on my phone like this, I normally when I wake up, I'm pretty tired, and I just hit it and then I put it above, I hide underneath the covers, and then I actually just talk back and forth with it. It helps me wake up slowly, and usually I ask like a question and then the response gets my curiosity going, and then you kind of like get kind of excited. So
You do it every day?
yeah, pretty much every day. I saw one video. I think it was by Kate or one of those other influencers, and they showed the capabilities, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I've been really enjoying it, and I keep hoping that it never costs money because eventually I ask so many questions. Who's paying for that, right? Sometimes it's like 2 hours back and forth, right? That's a lot of prompts.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I know you are recently focusing more towards the AI, right? So what do you think of AI? So first question is, how do you think is the future of AI? I mean, maybe 10 years down the line, what do you see? Is it still going to be humans working, or is it all going to be digital labor or the AI agents taking over?
I think that we're going to have to find, I think that society will find a place for humans to have a part in it. So as you look at the world today, right, there are so many jobs that people do that are not necessary, right? That we created them. Let's take dog walkers. Before the pandemic, there were not near as many dog walkers. Now, society said, we need dog walkers. We need people to dress our dogs up and paint their nails. That's crazy, right? But society creates jobs. So we're going to have an ability for everybody to do something. It might not be traditionally what we're used to, it might not be that technical role, but it actually might be to add more laughter or excitement or inspiration to things. Kind of think about it like plays. I mean, that is a job that's not going to probably go away, right? If you're an actor doing a play, you are providing something that I don't think AI could easily reproduce.
But I think the traditional things, and the repeated tasks might go away with AI, and maybe some robots, right, who are kind of doing your day-to-day thing. That might happen, but so everybody will kind of have to find a niche and kind of get into that area where it is more of your intellect and your human touch that kind of adds value rather than not repeated tasks that you are doing, right?
Yeah, I actually sometimes think about that. I go into a store and I try to imagine what would it be like if there was a system that had all of the knowledge in the universe, that was smarter than 100 people together, right? What would that change for you? What would you be looking for in a connection? If I went up to somebody, a dentist, I wouldn't be looking for them to tell me all the knowledge. I would be looking for them to maybe have that skill or to make that experience extra unique, to make me feel calm, to understand that I'm nervous about it. But if I really wanted to know all the latest on, let's say, dental implants, I would just ask my AI assistant or the AI there. They would have the latest information, even from breakthroughs that just happened an hour ago. So that's just not something that we're going to be able to provide as humans. You probably don't want to try to keep up with AI. I mean, it's really hard for you to learn as much as AI can learn, right? But you want to find the differentiate yourself. So, adding a little humor to that experience or a little compassion, that's something that only humans can do.
Yeah, that makes total sense, and I think we had discussed this previously as well, that we are also focusing a bit on AI and AI agents and understanding how that works. So I think it is going to be revolutionary. We can't compete with it, but I think we can blend with it and kind of have it as a complementary asset rather than thinking of it as a hunting our jobs, right? So I think that should be kind of a companionship you should have with the AI, right?
Yeah, I think you're already seeing that, though, that you figure out that the AI has the knowledge, but you have to ask the question, right?
Yeah.
You have to provide the prompt, or you have to instill some, like, you don't just always want workflow. You're looking sometimes for the human experience, right?
Yeah.
Think a little bit about, what do we do all these things for? I mean, you're born, and then before you pass away, you have an experience. So much of the things that we want, our vacations, our nails to be done, it's all about experience. So that's our job. But the actual workflow, a lot of it's going to be freed up so that when you do go to the dentist, he has a little bit more time to make it a better experience for you. And that's what we want out of the world.
And I think the value for human interaction will kind of increase because people will crave more of social impact, right? And not social impact per se, but engaging with different people. I think that will kind of increase because in day life, these tools will kind of barge in and it will reduce our day-to-day human interaction. So people will be more excited to meet somebody new or go to these events and things like that.
Yeah, and I think that really makes sense too when you see that people need other people. So you'll see that people might be nervous, but for you to truly understand your life, you rely on people. So when I went through a hard time, you reach out to people. You're like, I don't understand what's happened to me. Somebody else can give me that perspective. And not necessarily do you want the knowledge answer. You want them to be compassionate about the answer and really understand your feelings. So for me, when I went through some hard relationship times, I didn't necessarily want to ask ChatGPT for advice. I wanted to go to somebody who has been through it, and that when it got tough, they could put their hand around me and say, "Hey, let me just give you a hug." I mean, I know that this is really hard, right? And I think that you're going to have that same experience Even if you're in the hospital, I mean, do you want a robot to be the one to hold your mom's hand before she passes away? Or would you rather it be a real Herman? Hopefully you, but you definitely want the human experience.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I think emotions and human touch cannot be replaced. It can just be replaced as part of the repetitive tasks you do on a daily basis. But I think experience and social intermingling should definitely be there. Right?
Yeah. There's a company that I had the opportunity of actually doing a highlight video with Peak Logic. It's called Lexington Capital Holdings. And one of the parts that really shocked me was he showed me some of his videos and they literally brought in a llama into their offices and everybody went around and they pet the llama and the customers got to pet it. And I asked him, how did that work and what was that experience like? And he said, well, we had the technology. Sergi had made a system that allowed us to have a little bit of free time so that we could create that unique experience. Previously, you're always working so hard that you can't actually bring that in. But he's like, yeah, we can afford 30 minutes for everybody to touch a llama and we kind of we could appreciate that's good marketing and it's a better experience for everybody, not just the employees, but the customers. So I think that's what the world's going to be like, right? You're going to have so much automation, but you're going to think about how do you bring that human experience into the equation. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no, so am I, and I think that's the way forward. Looking forward to see what disruption does AI bring in our lives, and how we take it, and I think it will be helpful for everybody, and life will be super fast, right? It will be
Yeah.
faster. It is so fast now as well, but it will be kind of faster. You can do things in a click, right? You can just. So I was reading somewhere that there's a device you can just stick it here on your next to your brain, and it will sense your neural network inside the brain, and it'll auto start processing and reading your mind. I don't know what what all things. It is in prototype stage, yeah, but pretty crazy. And they say, right, in future maybe suppose you want to be an engineer, right? You don't need to learn and spend like be 3-4 years on it. It'll just be a chip embedded into your brain, and you'll get the knowledge, something on those lines. I don't know where the world is heading to, but yeah, I think it'll be a better place soon.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot that you can do with the education. In the United States, we have a lot of the states, the whole state system of California, we call it the California State University System. They all link together and they're creating like an AI hub. So I've noticed for myself that you can learn a lot when you have a teacher that will answer your precise question. When you're trying to figure out something, you would say, I don't get that, back up. Tell me exactly like this. And it does. So that's gonna, it's gonna really open up a lot of opportunity for us to learn things really quick. I don't know how that thing is gonna work on my head though. I mean, it might have to be while you're asleep, It's just kind of giving me that.
Uh, no, great speaking to you, Scott. I think this insights were really helpful, and looking forward to meeting you at TDX.
I want to thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you and your wife. So, a little tidbit to everybody on this show. When I did meet him down in Irvine, his wife and him showed me their incredible wedding photographs. So, if you guys get an opportunity, right, ask them. They keep the whole thing on their iPhone. So, it's just incredible. So, thank you, my good friend. And anytime you want me to come on your podcast, I would love to have another chat with you.
Thanks, Scott.